You know, when we think about winter, we usually picture everything being quiet and dormant down in the yard. But for your trees, it's actually not a time of rest at all. It's a season packed with hidden dangers. So today, we're going to build a super simple defense plan to make sure those trees are protected and ready to absolutely thrive when spring rolls back around.
So I want you to really think about it for a second. Look out your window. Those trees that give you shade all summer and look beautiful all year long, they're about to face some pretty serious challenges. The big question is, are they actually prepared for what's coming? And I'm not just talking about a big snowstorm. I'm talking about these subtle, sneaky forces that can really weaken a tree from the inside out.
Okay, so let's start with our first opponent, a little something called winter burn. Now, this one is particularly sneaky because it loves to target your evergreens. You know, the very trees we rely on for that pop of green in an otherwise gray winter world. It's this unseen threat that's slowly, quietly draining the life right out of their needles.
So what is actually happening here? Well, this slide really gets to the core of it. I want you to imagine trying to drink a big glass of water through a straw that's completely frozen solid. That's pretty much winter burn in a nutshell. You've got these cold, dry winds that are just pulling moisture out of the needles, but because the ground is frozen, the roots can't suck any more water up to replace it. The tree's literally drying out in the dead of winter. So how can you spot this? Well, you've got to put on your landscape detective hats. Start looking for the clues. Are the needles turning brown or kind of yellow? Does the foliage feel really dry and brittle when you touch it? Maybe you're seeing the very tips of branches dying back. Or, and this is a big one, you see patchy discoloration, especially on the side of the tree that gets blasted by the sun and wind. Those are your telltale signs that winter burn is on the scene. Okay, let's switch gears to our second winter threat. And this one, well, this one is way more dramatic. It's called the frost crack. You see, while winter burn is the slow draining process, a frost crack is a sudden, almost violent shock to a tree. People have literally heard an audible crack or pop on a really cold night. The key thing to understand here is the speed of the temperature change. So picture this, on a bright, sunny winter day. The sun is just beating down, warming up the dark bark of a tree and causing it to expand a little. But then, boom, the sun sets and the temperature absolutely plummets. The outer bark cools down and shrinks way faster than the wood inside, and all that tension, it just causes the trunk to literally split right open. And you know, not all trees are created equal when it comes to this threat. Young trees with thin bark are definitely at the top of the risk list, mostly because they just don't have that thick insulating layer that older trees do. Some of our favorites, like maples and oaks, are unfortunately pretty frequent victims. And if a tree already has an old wound, that spot creates a major weak point where a crack is just waiting to happen.
All right, so let's just do a quick side-by-side before we get to the solution. Winter burn, it's all about moisture loss, and it's hitting your evergreens the hardest. Frost cracks, that's all about that temperature shock, and it's mainly targeting those thin-barked trees. So two totally different problems, right? But the good news is our defense plan is going to cover both. Okay, now for the part you've been waiting for. We've met the bad guys, now let's build the fortress. And this isn't about some complicated, super expensive strategy. No, this is a straightforward, 6-step plan that basically turns you into the guardian of your garden all winter long. So here's the whole playbook. Let's break it down. First, you absolutely have to water deeply in the fall. Get the tree fully hydrated before that ground freezes solid. That is your #1 defense against winter burn. Second, apply mulch. Think of this like a blanket for the roots. It keeps the soil temperature more stable and holds that precious moisture in. Third, use tree wraps. This is your direct counterattack against frost cracks. It's like a winter coat for those young, vulnerable tree trunks that stops those wild temperature swings. And the last 3 are all about just minimizing stress on the tree. You want to prune any weak branches so they don't snap under heavy snow or ice. Avoid fertilizing late in the season because you don't want to encourage a bunch of tender new growth that the first hard frost will just zap. And finally, if you can, create a wind barrier with some burlap or a screen to shield your evergreens from those nasty drying winds. Okay, I want to pause on one of the most critical details here, that mulch. The depth is absolutely everything. If you put too little down, it's not going to do anything. But if you pile on too much, you can actually suffocate the roots and cause rot. 2 to 4 inches, that's the sweet spot. It's just enough to insulate and hold moisture without causing any harm. And just remember, keep it a few inches away from the actual trunk. Don't build a mulch volcano.
So, you might be wondering, is all this trouble in the fall really worth it? And the answer is 100% yes, because proactive care always wins. These simple steps don't just help your trees survive winter, they set them up to thrive in the spring. A tree that comes out of winter healthy and unstressed is going to be way more resilient to pests, and it adds real tangible value to your property.
And really, this is the bottom line. Dealing with a damaged, diseased, or hazardous tree in the springtime is a massive headache, and it can be super expensive. An hour or two of prevention in the fall is going to save you so much time, money, and stress later on. It is, without a doubt, the smartest investment you can make in your own yard.
So, as we finish up here, I'm going to leave you with this question. You now have the complete game plan. What is the very first step, the single action that you're going to take to protect your trees? Because the health of your landscape next summer is being decided right now by the small things you do this fall. Just pick one, get started, and become your garden's guardian.